Morning. Another day. Another real world test. Today we're going to be doing it on the new Vivo X50 Pro. It's their flagship phone that integrates a gimbal system inside, which is the more unique feature of this phone, and pretty clever actually, but we'll talk about that more in more detail later. Full disclosure, Vivo did send me this device and asked me if I would make a video on it, just so you know. Other disclosure, I just had surgery, so this is going to be a little slower of a video. I apologize for that. But regardless, a real world test on this channel is where I'm going to use the phone as my normal phone, put my SIM card in it, use WhatsApp and Gmail and all the normal things you normally use on a phone. Just because I don't show them doesn't mean I'm not using them. But then we're going to check in on the battery throughout the day to see how it's doing. And then we'll also take some photos with it and some of its competitors, and I'm going to put those up on the screen unedited for you guys to check out and see how you feel about it. First things first though, as always, I need coffee. This is actually the first time that I've been out of the house since the surgery. It's been about 5 days or so, but I'm out. So I'm excited about that. And I have a follow-up in a couple of days, so hopefully everything went well, but so far, so good. Now, really quick, we need to talk about the cameras on this phone, because there are a lot of them. The X50 Pro has an ultra-wide 8 megapixel f2.2 aperture camera with a 120-degree field of view. Then we have a 48 megapixel main camera, which turns out is a customized version of the Sony IMX598 sensor, by the way, with a faster than usual on most phones aperture of f1.6 to let in a bit more light. The most interesting thing about the main camera, though, is the fact that Vivo has implemented a gimbal system inside the phone that we'll talk about in a lot more detail shortly, because it's actually a pretty clever way to make it ultra stable. Next, we have a professional portrait camera, as Vivo calls it, which is used to help collect depth information like you've seen with depth cameras on other phones. But unlike those other phones, this is actually a camera that you can switch to and use as a 2x optical zoom. And then we have a 5x optical periscope telephoto camera that is an 8 megapixel with an aperture of f3.4 with its own more traditional optical stabilization. So we have a total of 4 cameras on the back, and again, unlike some other manufacturers that called their system a quad camera system, even though one of them is just a depth sensor, this phone actually has 4 cameras that you can actually use. Okay, and as we do, let's check in on the battery. It is 2:09 p.m. I took it off the charger at about 9:30 in the morning, and we are at 85%. Okay, that might have been a little naive and ambitious. Kind of hurting now. Okay, just gonna lay down, take a break for a little bit until it stops hurting, and then we'll continue from there. But in the meantime, it gives us an opportunity. Let's talk about some of the other specs of this phone. So, the X50 Pro has a 6.58-inch Super AMOLED display made by Samsung with a 90 Hz refresh rate, which makes animations, gameplay, and scrolling a lot more fluid, as we've seen on some other flagship devices. Now, Vivo also gives you the option to force 90 Hz for everything, limit the display to 60 Hz to save battery, or set it to Smart Switch, which will then let the device determine when 90 Hz versus 60 Hz is used, which is what I suggest leaving it on and what I have it on for this video, by the way. For the chipset, we have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G that's paired with 8 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM and the choice of either 128 or 256 gigs of UFS 2.1 storage. And powering the whole thing, we have a 4,315 milliamp battery inside, which is pretty large considering how thin this phone is. Okay, feeling a little bit better now that I laid down for a little bit. I think like bending forward and sitting like this for a decent amount of time is probably a bad idea. But let's go for maybe a walk while we still have some daylight to test out that gimbal camera. And right before we do, let's also check in on the battery. It is 6:36 p.m. and we are at 69%. So the gimbal system in here essentially is comprised of a double ball system that allows the camera module to move on the X and Y axis 3 times more than a traditional OIS enabled camera. So technically it should be able to handle a decent amount more movement when filming. So let's walk as quickly as I can right now and see how it compares. Okay, while we wait for it to get a little darker here so we can test out the super night mode, as they call it, let's check into the battery. It is 8:59 p.m. and we are at 53%. Okay, I think we're done. We're calling it a night. It is 11:17 p.m. and we are at 39%. And here is my usage and screen on time for anybody who might be curious. Now keep in mind that this phone is about $600, and I just put it up against phones that are about twice that price, if not more.
There you go. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video, what you think of the phone itself. If you like the video, though, please thumbs up it or share it. It's greatly appreciated. Also, check out the rest of the channel. If you like what you see there, please subscribe and ding the bell next to subscribe so you get notified when I do new videos. As always, though, regardless, thanks for watching.